my channel. If you are new here, my name is Megan and I am a type 1 diabetic, and the whole goal of my channel is to help you find balanced mind, body, and blood sugars. So today's video is all about flying with type 1 diabetes. I'm pretty well seasoned in this area. My husband and I love to travel. We've been all over the country, so I have a lot of experience flying with T1D. So today I want to run through my packing list and then just some extra tips and tricks. I should note that I use a tandem T-Slim insulin pump, so my packing list is kind of tailored to more of what you need if you're using a pump, but obviously you can use it just as a starting point and edit it for your own needs. Okay, to start with the packing list. So the first thing that you need is obviously your insulin. You want to bring insulin and then extra insulin. So I use vials and then I fill my pump with these. So you want to bring enough for your trip, but then also extra, because you never know, if you dropped one of these or something and it shattered, you just always need extra, or if it goes bad, I don't know, there's always just you just never know, so you need to be prepared. So insulin and then extra insulin. And then on the insulin front, I would highly recommend carrying your insulin in your carry-on bag. One, just for temperature purposes, because if it's hot out, you don't want it sitting in your checked bag outside and deteriorating. And then two, you don't want your checked bag to get lost or something, and then you get to your destination and you don't have any insulin. So I would carry all of your insulin in your carry-on bag with you. Okay, so next tip I would recommend, or packing item, is the Frio case. So I actually just got this one at Walgreens, but they have all different kinds of sizes, colors, styles on their website and then also on Amazon. But this is a little cooler, specifically designed to keep insulin cold. So there's this pouch, and then you put it in this and it stays cool. I think they say for 24 hours it keeps your insulin cold. So I would definitely keep your insulin in something cold. You don't want it to deteriorate and go bad, and then you don't have any usable insulin. Okay, my next tip is to carry low snacks in your carry-on bag with you. I know they don't let you bring drinks and stuff onto the plane or through security, but you can bring snacks. So I always like to make sure that I have enough snacks in case I have a low. So some of the things that I like are fruit snacks, because they're small and they're usually 15 to 20 carbs, so they're good to treat lows. Or fruit strips, those kinds of things you can get anywhere. Trail mix is also really good, or any kind of dried fruit. You can get those bags of dried fruit, dried cherries or cranberries, mangoes, something, and those are really good because they're really high in sugar, so you can use those to treat a lot of lows. They should last you your whole trip. Fruit is good, any kind of bar, so the things that are little that can go in your carry-on, but I usually bring a lot just because traveling and flying and planes are so unpredictable. You just never know. So I like to have a lot of low snacks with me. My next item that you want to pack is your pump supplies and then extra pump supplies, because you never know if you're going to be changing a pump on your trip and something's going to fail or break or not work, and you need extra. So I always would bring extra pump supplies. I usually bring 2 times what I think I would need just to be safe. For pump supplies, I do usually put those in my checked bag because I don't usually have enough room in my carry-on, but I will suggest putting one pump site change, what you need for one pump site change, in your carry-on bag, just because what if your pump site gets ripped out and you're in the middle of the airport and you don't have your checked bag or something. So I always like to have one site change in my carry-on bag with me. Next tip, or next packing item, is dexcom, Freestyle Libre or whatever you use. You want to bring that, and then obviously extras. The next thing is to pack is your pump charger, and I recommend bringing the pump charger in your carry-on with you. Like I said, you never know if like a flight's gonna get delayed, canceled, whatever. So I bring the charger in my carry-on, and then obviously you want to make sure you have your pump. That's important. I also always bring a glucometer with me, just because like what if dexcom fails, or like you always have to think of like the what ifs, like what do you need to manage your diabetes if like one of your items fails. So I bring my glucometer, test strips, and then extra batteries for the glucometer, and then a lancet, an extra lancet, or like finger poking thing. You always want to have that. And then you want to make sure to pack alcohol wipes for like your site changes. Also a good idea to pack ketone test strips, because you just never know, like if you're high and you're on your trip, like you want to be able to test for ketones, so that is a good thing to have with you. Another thing that I do, which may not be accessible to you if you don't have them, but I always bring insulin pens with me, just in case like if something were to happen with my pump. I have pens as a backup. So I pretty recently switched to a pump, so I still have extra of these. But if you've been on a pump forever and you don't have pens, you can also get a prescription for like NPH, which is kind of like long-acting insulin. And it comes in a vial, and then you would just give yourself like shots with syringes, which you can get at any like drugstore if you needed to. But I still have extra pens, so I make sure to bring pens with me too, and I bring those on in my carry-on in the Frio case. What you want to pack is needles, so either pen needles if you're bringing pens, or like syringe type needles if you are just using vials, like if your pump were to fail. And then the last thing that I pack is glucagon. I have a couple of those pens, so I usually bring like all of them with me, just because you never know, and I like to be prepared. So yeah, that's pretty much it for my packing list, and I can type that list up and put it in the description below. And then just like a few other tips that I have for flying with T1D, to tell them about your pump before you go through security. I don't know that it's supposed to go through the x-ray machine. I always take mine off, and then they like do a wipe down. That way the pump doesn't go through the machine and get messed up. So I always tell them and then take it off before I go through. And it's usually pretty easy that way. I usually put low snacks in my carry-on, but what I also like to do is like once I get into the airport, I go to one of the stores and buy a juice. I just think juice is easier for correcting lows, so I go pick up a juice in one of the stores before I get on the plane. And then another tip is to, if you do have a pump, to go through your pump setting and look at the serial number and put that serial number in like the notes section of your phone or something. Because if something happens to your pump while you're on your trip and you need to call, they're going to, like Tandem or something, they're going to ask for your pump serial number. And if your pump is like dead or won't turn on or something, you need that serial number somewhere you can access it. So having it in your phone is a good idea. If you are like going out of the country or like on a really long trip or something, you can actually ask Tandem for a backup pump to carry with you. But that takes a little bit of planning, and they have to send it to you, so make sure you're like thinking about that way ahead of time if that is something that you think you're going to need. Lastly, so I do a mix of things in my carry-on bag and in my checked bag, but I like to make sure I have all of the like things I would need in my carry-on. Pump, extra site change, glucometer, test strips, pump charger. And then I also bring needles in my carry-on in case my pump were to go bad. I can use, or like my pump were to die or something, I can use the pens while I'm on the plane while I'm traveling. That is pretty much all of my tips and my packing list for flying with T1D. I will put everything that I mentioned for the packing list in the description box below, so that you can just like look through that if you need to. So thank you so much for checking out this video. If you like my content, please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next week.